Here are 3 things I learned in university that could turn out to be more important than my degree. It's become trendy to say that university is not worth the money. And in a way, I think it could be true, but only if you think you're only paying for your degree certificate. Now, I've just graduated from 3 years of law school, and here are 3 things I learned through trial and error, through a lot of experience, which I think can be potentially worth more than my university degree at the end. So let's get straight into it. First of all, life is a choices of games. You have to know the rules of your game to win. Before university, everyone basically have the same life, right? You have the same group of friends, everyone around you are similar, you go to the same neighborhood, you do the same things after school, you're from similar family backgrounds, etc. And the only benchmark are the grades you get and maybe how popular you are within the school. But as I got into university, I slowly started to realize that life does not actually work that way. There's no single benchmark that compares yourself to the person next to you and the person next to the person next to you. For example, in university, right, some people might want to be in academia after they graduate. Some people might want to get a grad job in a big bank. And the third person might want to start a business. In that case, the 3 of them are participating in 3 different games, and the rules of the games are very different. For the first person, his priority might be to get the highest grade possible. For the second person who wants to get a job in the bank, their priorities might be to get the best work experience and they just need an okay grade. For the third person who wants to start a business, their priority might be to find as much free time as possible and to work on his business. And for his degree, you just need a pass. Now that's 3 very extreme examples of different games that you can participate in. That's something that I only came to terms around middle to the later stages of my university life. I realized that you can no longer just directly compare yourself to your peers, and the best comparison is always with you from yesterday. All of you are participating in different games, all of you have different goals, and to win in your own game, you have to be clear in the rules of the game, i.e. what are your priorities, and that clarity in terms will stop you from always comparing to your peers and doing whatever everyone else is doing. That's the first and one of the most important lessons I learned in university. So obviously different games has very different rules, so I'm not going to go deep into that. However, one thing I think is very universal that everyone can benefit from is the second thing I've learned in university. Using a network and other unofficial ways to do things are almost always better than going through the formal official procedure. There are 2 ideas within this lesson. First of all, the idea that knowing people can be helpful, and secondly, the idea that doing things through the unofficial way is better than the official way. So let's get to that one by one. First of all, on knowing people. There's this Cantonese proverb called 識人好過識字, which directly translates to it's better to know people than to know words. The people that you know are often more important than your credentials and the knowledge that you have, which I personally find to be very true during my university experience. A lot of the times, to get things done and to get to where you want to be in the university, you are facing immense competition. And although you can go through the formal and official procedures of getting to those places, but the main problem is that you very easily blend in with your competitors. Now, knowing the right people firstly helps you get to where you want to be faster and easier. And secondly, it also gives you a lot of unofficial information that you might not be able to find online or in the official places. Applying for a job is a very good way of explaining the 2 benefits. Now, if you know the right people, now they can maybe give you a referral, give you contact of the people within the company. Now that might mean that you can stand out from the other applicants. And secondly, by talking to people within the company, you'll gain insider information on how the company culture actually is, the honest opinions they have on the company, a more detailed explanation of the sort of work that they do within the company. Now this explains why it's often better to know people. But what about doing things in unofficial ways? Now, in my opinion, doing things unofficially has its benefit similarly to knowing people, in that you'll stand out easier and you'll face less competition. Let's go back to the finding a job example. Doing things the official way will be just to writing your cover letter and your CV and to send it out whenever you see a new job posting. An example of doing things unofficially will be to find a company that you want to work for, try to find out the contacts of their management and to directly email or call them. Now, 99% of people will do the former, which is go through the official procedure. But if you're able to pull off the latter, you'll stand out a lot more and increase the probability of you winning at your game. This is actually how I landed my internship last summer. I initially sent out about I can't even remember, 20, 30, 40, 50 applications through the official ways, and I didn't land a single job. And then I started using unofficial ways, get at my own network, looking at people I see on LinkedIn, etc. I started shooting out messages, and that's how I landed a internship in a startup last summer. So I think that justifies my saying and why knowing the right people and doing things the unofficial way is often better than doing things in the official procedure. So those are 2 of the best lessons I've learned in university. However, the last one which is probably the most important lessons of all, is that if you don't decide for yourself, someone else will. When we were born into this very small river, right? So there's not much choice, you just go straight with everyone else in your neighborhood or whatever. And then when you're 18, right, you go to university, you get into like sort of a bigger river. Now there's more wiggle room for you. You can move around, but then you're still in like a general trajectory. But once you're out of university, it's like going from a river to the sea. If you don't decide where to swim, the current will take you wherever it takes you. That sort of means that if you don't decide for yourself where you want to be, the society, your parents, the people around you will help you decide it. And you'll end up doing something that you might not enjoy, maybe for the rest of your life. So instead, I think this is what you should do. Instead of just like floating in the water, right? You should actively swim towards where you want to be. And that means really taking a hard look at yourself, asking yourself where you want to be in life, what you want to do. And once you've identified that one thing, or the general direction at the very least that you want to go, just start swimming towards it, even though the current might be blowing you the other way. Because that's the only way that you can ever get what you want out of life. Just sitting around and letting life take you where it takes you will never take you where you want to be, if that makes sense. So that is probably the most important lesson I've learned in university. I remember in the first and second year of university, I used to think that I was pretty much the same person as I was before I came into university. But it's only after I've graduated, now that I'm looking back into my university life, do I realize how much I've learned there and how much of it really transformed the trajectory of my life. And chances are, if you're watching this, you might be interested in how to better spend the time in your summer. So here is another video that I think you might like.